The Yanks can answer that. Make everybody hit the first plane for the coast. Well, all of a sudden, you got something to have a little fun with. Odds are still stacked. Winning 2 games in LA.
for your Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. I'm your Shady from New York, as always, joined by my very good friend and the man who predicted the Yankees would lose in 6 games. I said it was 16. He 7 games, and we are both completely wrong. Solomon, Jason, what's going on?
I did say they would lose. Okay, so let's not make it seem like I said they were going to win. I said they were going to lose.
I don't even know what fucking listen. I'm ridiculously shocked that we are looking at a situation where they get swept in the World Series, man. I did not, and I'm sure you thought the same thing coming on into this, that they were not going to play this bad.
No, it's actually it's amazing that they're playing as badly as they are. But I was telling you before we went live. Look, it just comes down to the simple fact that the Dodgers are the better team. They're better than us. You can sit here and admit that, and they're better, much better than the Yankees. We were better than the Yankees are playing now. But the Dodgers, it's just their time, man. It's their season. And look, how can you not root for someone like Freddie Freeman?
You don't got to tell me twice about Freddie Freeman. I know what the guy's capable of.
I know. I'm just saying, how can you not root for someone?
I don't know. He's a good guy. Mike Rouse in the chat says Issa said 7. I don't want to be Issa.
Yeah, she's probably not too happy.
She got rubber legs back, though, man. It can't be all that bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to get into tonight. Thank you for joining us on episode 71. We have this new WWE ID program that is making the rounds on social media, and everybody has something to say about it. And for the time that we have tonight, I have concocted some really, really good questions for Jason and I to go back and forth on. And I think it's going to be a very good discussion. So we will definitely get into that. We got Crown Jewel this weekend. We have 7 matches, supposedly. I don't know yet until we actually get through SmackDown because some of them are not announced yet. But we could be looking at a
they've
7.
been announced. No. They've been announced.
That spoiler match has been announced?
It's up on WWE.com. You click on the Crown Jewel page. Because I had people telling me last night that Crown Roman Reigns and his IG stories said something about it, and now it's up on the full preview. Right there at the very top.
Well, I do my best to stay away from the spoilers, but I'm glad that the match is taking place. We got a really substantial card on Saturday afternoon, so Jason and I will definitely go over that. We'll give you our preview predictions for Crown Jewel this Saturday, whether you like that show or not. It does have some storyline implications that will bleed into Survivor Series. We got Samantha Irvin. We got a follow-up on why she really left the WWE and why everybody on social media is a bizarre weirdo who just can't let shit go and can't be happy for people who just genuinely want to be happy. So we will definitely go over that. And we have major WrestleMania news. Cody is teasing that there's going to be some unexpected plans, and The Rock is a priority, or making the WWE, I should say, a priority for WrestleMania. So we will definitely get into all that stuff. We got a loaded show.
But Dave said he wasn't. Dave said he wasn't going to be there.
I don't know. Dave Meltzer getting more correct again. Tough to be Dave Meltzer. I
hate to see it.
I don't know, man. We'll definitely get into all that for sure. Quickly, guys, there is a new option. I'm not sure Jason knows this. There's a new option in the live stream chats now where you can set goals for everybody that is watching us live tonight. So you can go to the top and there's a little bullseye icon. And right now you'll see 1 of 20. If we can get 20 orange super chats, I will sit down later this week and I'll conduct a very special Q&A for members only. So if you guys want to get in on that fun, it is there. So make sure you guys go and do that. YouTube's always adding some little fun things here and there for us content creators to get excited about. So if you guys want to click on that and take part in that, it is there. Super chats are open for the show and all the social media stuff, YouTube, you guys do it. in the comments on her Instagram post announcing her resignation. I'm serious. Announcing was only supposed to be my way in. I wanted to manage, maybe even become general manager one day, but WWE saw no other future for me besides announcer. I love watching the action, but I don't love being an announcer. Now, Irvin's comments were a rebuke to the popular social media narrative that Ricochet influenced Irvin to leave after he himself departed the company and signed with AEW over the summer, wrapping up a 6-year WWE run. In addition to explaining why she quit, Irvin said WWE wanted Rico to stay in the big leagues after someone said that Ricochet left the big leagues to go to the minor leagues, which was completely up to him. He left on his own accord. He didn't want to come back, so that's that narrative. I don't know why everyone is pretending like he was always in great positions at WWE. She also responded to another comment blaming her untalented husband for her departure, snapping back, saying, "My husband is a millionaire, so yes, I don't have to do a job I don't like anymore. I love wrestling, and that is what shone through." Irvin wrote other comments on her Instagram post expressing appreciation for her fans and the job she performed to the best of her ability for over 4 years. She also reinforced her love for the industry in response to a fan who suggested that WWE had held her back. "I love wrestling, and that is what shone through." She suggested that she wanted to kill it so hard that they would want to move me somewhere else. And that is basically the gist of why Samantha Irvin left. She said, "I'm not going to AEW. I will probably just go back to stage performing, acting, singing, and when I'm ready to get back to work, this was a dream, and I'm super proud of it." End quote. Jason, there was, let me see if I can find it on my phone. I know you and I discussed her status in the company in regards to where she stands as all-time ring announcers in WWE. I know you and I said the Fink is number one, and nobody will ever come close to the Fink. She is definitely, in my opinion, and I know you said it as well, number two. There were people that were legitimately just going at her and just upset to a point where you think that these people lost a family member as to why this woman left the company. Now, I know a lot of people who watch me know my humble beginnings. I used to work at Starbucks. I hated it, but I did it because I had to make ends meet. I worked 16-hour shifts often. Then I moved to selling watches and retail, and I moved back to New York City after living in Atlantic City, and I transferred jobs selling watches in Atlantic City to Madison Avenue in New York City. I hated it. And then after I left there, I went to go do that at a smaller, more privately owned shop. And one day, Jason, I just said, "You know what? Fuck it. I quit." And I went to go start my YouTube channel, and I don't look back, and I never regretted it. It was probably the best decision I ever made to do this shit full time. She wanted to do something else, and she was great at what she did. She left, and she was unhappy doing what she did. Nowhere in the transcript or the contract did it state, "You have to stay here, and you have to stay here with us." If she didn't like it, if you don't like it, fucking quit and go do something else, and let's be happy for people who actually have the balls to do that. I know I did it with Mercedes and Naomi Trinity when they left WWE, how difficult of a decision that was. When you don't want to do something, you don't have to do that certain something. You get up and leave, and I respect her for doing that.
Nobody needs to be tied down to a job that they're going to be miserable at. She fooled me because you would watch her on television, you would listen to her, and they would even have cameras set up sometimes where they would show you her reaction. When there was like a big angle or a big move, she would react like a fan because she is a fan. She's been a wrestling fan since she was a kid. She's talked about her father was a fan. She grew up watching Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels when they were on top. So she's always loved wrestling. But I don't think enough people know that she was recruited into it. When she was recruited into it, she wanted to be a wrestler, and it didn't work out. And so the role they had for her was ring announcer. I mean, I'm sure the minute they heard her voice, they probably figured, like most of us will have, like, she's a natural at it. And so it was the right role for her. I had no idea that she didn't want to be an announcer, which makes it even more amazing that I sat here last week and I told you when I met what I said, that I would probably have her rank behind the thing on my list of like top ring announcers in WWE. And the fact that she didn't even want to do it, like that wasn't even something she had a passion for, is pretty amazing. And on my show I talked about the fact also that the social media feedback was embarrassing. It's just one of those things. And unfortunately, I feel like we've had a lot of instances of this year alone where I'm embarrassed to be a fan based on the reaction I was seeing from other fans. They just take it so far over the top. They immediately jump to conclusions. It's Ricochet's fault. He coerced you into this. Why Ricochet came out with that tweet and said, look, don't worry about it. She's not going to AEW. And that didn't work because people thought he was fine. And they still came at him. And that's the only reason I think why we even heard from her. I don't think she would have said any of this if it wasn't for all of the negative feedback that she was getting from it, but also her fiance was getting. So she just got to a point where she was like, you know what, the hell with this. I'm going to fight back. And I say good for her. Because I can just imagine some of the shit that she was seeing that maybe we're not aware of. So the reaction was completely over the top. My perspective on this, and I think I said this last week, the initial reports had to do with her wanting to do outside projects.
Yeah.
And I think it was Meltzer who put the report out that said that conversations or negotiations between them broke down. They couldn't come to an agreement or an understanding. And she came out and said, look, I have no outside projects. I just wanted to do more. I wanted to do basically anything other than Ring Announcer. She talked about managing. She talked about being a general manager. And she said she thought she would be really good at it, and she thought she could contribute in other ways. And it just was not meant to be. It backfired on her. And she gave them plenty of advance notice. She didn't walk out last Monday and put them in a bind. Obviously, they had Lillian there, so this was known in advance. And I said at the time when it looked like it was a case where they couldn't come to some kind of an understanding about her having time to do outside projects. I said, how do you let somebody like that go? You work something out. If that means that she's on Raw a little bit less because she has a gig here, a gig there, then you do what you need to do to hold on to somebody like that. This is very different. This is just a case where WWE and Samantha Irvin had two completely different ideas about how best to use her. She wanted to do X. They wanted her to do Y. They have a lot of talent as it is. They have in-ring talent. They have managers. They have people filling all the GM roles. I've said if Nick Aldis ever gets bounced out of that SmackDown GM role or wants to start wrestling, you got William Regal. Right? Yeah. I mean, he fit like a glove. They didn't have an open spot for him. I don't look at this as blame WWE. WWE is not to blame for this. Samantha Irvin is not to blame for this. This was a simple business impasse that they came to, where they had different ideas for what she wanted to do. And she was within her right, because I think she's an employee. She's not 100% talented what everybody else is. To say, you know what, I'm going to leave. I'm not happy here anymore, and so I'm going to go do something else. But I don't look at it as, oh, this is WWE's fault. They did not have that same vision. They did not share the same vision that she had. And it's a simple business decision. I don't think you need to beat up on one side or the other, but again, the hate for her and Ricochet was just embarrassing. And so many weirdos out there making all kinds of just ridiculous comments. I'll sum it up the way I did on my show. Grow the fuck up. Comes right down to that. Act like adults. Grow up. This happens in business. This is not a big deal. Nobody got screwed. If she's not happy, she'll go and be happy somewhere else. And if that means one day that she ends up in AEW, because I could see her ending up there one day doing something, whether she signs a contract or a one-off. I'm not saying it's impossible, but even before all of this came out, I didn't think she was going. I believed Ricochet. I said, okay, she's not going to AEW. Some people are still convinced she's going to pop up there in the next few weeks. I don't think she will. You know what? Even if she did, who cares? Grow up.
As long as she's happy, we give a shit when she shows up. I don't. That's asking a lot of the people that
I know.
go on social media.
No, I mean, I can move mountains a lot easier than it would be, see that. I know, but I mean, grow up. She more important things to grow up.
She definitely made lifelong memories in just 4 years. She was a part of probably the most important WrestleMania that the company's ever had. It was truly an amazing 4 years for that woman. And if she wants to go and do whatever she wants to do, I just hope that she's happy doing it. We should all hope that anybody doing whatever they're doing is happy doing it. A lot of people, I hear from a lot of people that I don't know personally that hate what they do. I have people close to me that quit jobs and quit because they hated being disrespected and hated working with people that they worked with. So they got up and quit and found a new job. That's as simple as that, folks. I'm sure you are in that same boat, everybody. You went through that at least once in your life. So why are we giving this woman such a hard time?
I think most people probably went through it. They're probably going through it right now in some
Yeah.
cases. I would argue there are people in WWE right now or AEW who are
Yeah.
probably miserable.
Absolutely.
But they take the paycheck and they say, okay, I don't want to rock the boat. Maybe my opportunity will come. But I guarantee you there are people in both companies who are not happy doing what they're doing or in the position that they're in. And in her case, she had the power to say, you know what? Like she said in one of her responses on social media, yeah, you know what? My fiance is a millionaire, so if I don't want to work, I don't have to. Or if I want to quit my job and then take time to figure out, okay, what's my next move, I can do that. I can understand it. Some people are financially dependent on that position, and they can't. They don't have the freedom to just go, you know what? I quit because I like something else lined up. There are people in the world, and there are people in wrestling who probably fit that criteria too. Clearly, she's not one of those people. So why would she stick around doing a job that she is not happy doing? Especially when she has to go on her, like, it's one thing to wake up in the morning and go talk to her. When you're a WWE star or an AEW star, you know, there's a lot of travel involved. And I don't care if she's only flying around once a week for Raw, if that's all it was. That's a lot, you know, to travel all over the country, all over the world for a job that you don't even want to be doing, what they have you doing. Why? Nobody should have to feel obligated to do that unless they are financially independent. So good for her.
Good for her. She was there for 4 years. She wanted to be a pro wrestler, correct? She wanted to be a pro wrestling
Yes.
manager. She cited Paul Heyman as an influence. Vince McMahon gave her the role, if I'm not mistaken, as announcer. Is that
Well,
correct?
I don't know if Vince was the one who gave her the role, but you know, she mentioned Heyman as her inspiration, and she pointed out to somebody because they said, "Well, then why stay if you were unhappy in that position, or why accept it? Why take it in the first place?" And she said it was like Heyman. Heyman, when he started out, he was a photographer. That was his foot in the door, right? Sometimes in wrestling, you have to take a position that maybe you don't see yourself in 5 to 10 years down the road, but that's your big break, right? That's your opportunity. Shit, that's my foot in the door. I can be a photographer. I
Like
can be a
some,
referee.
it's like some of these guys playing a security guard week in and week out. That's their foot in the
Yeah,
door.
the security geeks, they get beat up every single week and are made to look like the dumbest people on the face of the earth. Why do they do it? Because they get foot in the door. Maybe if they take a good pump or something, you know, maybe somebody sees something in them. Who knows, right? What it might be. I think there's plenty of people who probably end up being referees who aspire to be wrestlers. Maybe the only role for them initially is being a referee. They'll be the best damn referee they can be. It doesn't mean that that's where they see themselves 10 years. And that's why she said yes. I think most people probably would have said yes if WWE said, hey, we have a role for you that's going to give you a ton of visibility on TV. What do you say? How many people do you think are going to say no?
Everybody's going to say yes. I know how to
Exactly.
Speaking of Vince, I did mention Vince. There was news on Vince today. Laughable news, but Vince news anyway. Vince McMahon plans to launch a new entertainment company. Good luck with that, brother. Vince McMahon is working on setting up a new company. McMahon resigned. Obviously, you guys know the whole details of what happened there. I'm not going to get into that, but PW Insider reports today that McMahon has been in the process of setting up what has been described as a new entertainment hub company, which would financially back, develop, and produce film and television productions. It's believed that there are no plans to launch anything similar to WWE as they focus on fiction and non-fiction projects. Several WWE alum are already working with McMahon to prepare the company. The idea is to unveil it once its legal issues are resolved. The company is expected to be based in the LA area. And for those wondering, Kevin Dunn has not been involved in this new venture at all, which is quite surprising to me personally. Brad Blum, WWE's former chief operating officer, is working on the project after starting in WWE in 2006 before departing after McMahon's first retirement. In the wake of the Wall Street Journal articles, when McMahon returned to WWE, Blum followed but resigned in May 2024. Kristen Prouty, who was WWE's liaison to the Hollywood world, is also on board. She joined WWE in 2005 after being the original casting director for the initial Divas search. WWE let her go earlier this year. Jason, how is Vince planning on doing this? Obviously, even after everything in his hopes gets settled, what type of reputation is Vince going to have after this to a point where he thinks he's going to launch a new entertainment company with any support or backing whatsoever? Is he losing his mind?
Oh, I mean, he lost his mind a long time ago. I don't know why you think he just lost the place. The thing with him is he's got so much money. I think of all the stock he cashed out. He's got billions and billions of dollars in the bank. And you're talking about the entertainment industry. There's a lot of really scummy people in the entertainment industry. So I think if he's going to throw his money around, yeah, I mean, he'll find projects to get behind. And it's not a case where nobody is going to want to work with him. There's a lot of people who I'm sure are not going to want to work with him. I look at it just as a simple case of every single time that Vince McMahon has tried some sort of business endeavor outside of wrestling, he has failed. So why would we think that this would be anything? Right? He started a bodybuilding federation, it failed. He started a supplement, it failed. He started a football league, first league, it failed. He opened a restaurant in Times Square, it failed. He bought a casino that they were going to turn into a WWE casino, and that didn't work. So you can go up and down the list, and that's to say nothing of his early failure before he really hit it big. He was promoting other events. So he doesn't have a very good track record outside of wrestling because it's all he's done. I mean, think about this. Okay, in many ways, he spent a big chunk of his career running away from the wrestling label. It was almost like he wanted to do anything but. People would joke, like, one day the ring is going to be done. He's gonna still have Raw, but there's not going to be a ring anymore. It's just going to be skits, promos. Wrestling is a dirty word. So for a guy who looked like he always wanted to be in the entertainment business, but wasn't really thrilled about the wrestling part, now he's going to get his wish. He gets to be in the entertainment industry doing stuff other than wrestling. Do I think it's going to work? No, I don't. And it's not like I'm going to sit here and say I wish him that. I wish him all the luck in the world. I hope he has great success. No, I really don't. I really can't bring myself to care, honestly, about anything that he did. But anybody worried about him jumping back to the wrestling business, I think hasn't really been paying attention. I really just don't think he's interested in doing wrestling. Not that he wouldn't be in WWE still if he wasn't pushed out. But I think he's just, as long as he's doing something in the entertainment world, I think that's probably all he needs. He needs something to occupy his time. He is a workaholic. I can't picture him sitting in the rocking chair for the rest of his days. I'm not surprised that he wants to jump back into something, but his track record would dictate that this probably will not be glorious.
I was about to say, why doesn't he just go on some nice excursion overseas somewhere, pick his feet up, overlooking some beautiful crystal blue water and some Italian villa somewhere, drinking some espresso? Why doesn't he just do that?
Oh, I would love for him to go on excursion. I'm going to get an argument out of me, preferably as far away as possible. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, that was in the news today. I don't wish Vince McMahon the best of luck on anything. Hopefully, whenever this thing does come to an end with Janelle Grant, I hope he suffers the worst fate possible. So that's just my personal opinion there.
Well, it's not just the Janelle Grant lawsuit that he has against him.
Yes, I heard
Also filed last week.
the Ring Boy stuff. You know, I was listening to your video that you put on YouTube about it because I know you talked about it on the podcast. I was one of those people that did not know about that previously. I've heard about it, but I didn't really do too much investigative work on my end to go and research it. But when I watched the docuseries, it was the first full-time, full-blown situation where I actually heard about it in full and came into more about that story. I didn't know about that before. So I'm like, I don't know, man. That's when you're dealing with the topic of that story, that's pretty rough. And TKO is going to be suffering ramifications from that. Like you said, they weren't even fucking around during that time period. So it's like, you know, what are you going to do? You got to deal with Vince McMahon's ex's bullshit, and it had nothing to do with it.
Well, you know what though? Remember when the whole deal went down, and there were like SEC documents.
Yeah.
There would be fine print in there where Deborah would acknowledge that Vince McMahon was a liability, a potential, and I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Was that shit in capital letters?
Yeah. But hey, they made the choice to bring him aboard, and so it didn't take very long for them to blow up in their face after this. But yeah, I feel like for all the people who know about the Ring Boy scandal, there's way more people who don't because it was so long ago, and a lot of the key players aren't around. A lot of the key players are gone. They're dead. Pat Patterson, Terry Garvey, Phillips, Tom Cole, who was one of the ring boys who made accusations, committed suicide not long after Pat Patterson died. And when you really get into the details of it, I mean, it really is the most egregious scandal, of all the different scandals and all the awful things in the history of that company. How a blind eye was turned to all that stuff. And I do think we get the pass from a lot of people who simply do not know about it. Or when they don't know the extent to which this is going on who's why. And, people complete ignorance, but at the end of the day, it was still happening and who's why. And Mel Phillips, who is no longer with us, Mel Phillips passed away in 2012. I will say rest in peace.
Yes, terrible human beings. And like you said, if you knew of a situation that was going on like that and you didn't say anything, even though you might have not actively been involved, you're just as guilty as the rest of it. Because wasn't Mel Phillips fired and then brought back under some pretenses?
Mel Phillips, we won't spend
No.
But Mel Phillips was a ring announcer primarily for live events, so you didn't see him too much on TV, although you can find footage. But he was one of their ring announcers, and he was also the head of the ring. And he had a foot fetish and had an affinity, evidently, for the ring. And he was the one responsible in many of these cities for bringing in and hiring the ring boys. They would help set up the ring through other cast. And there were a lot of accusations levied against him, back then. Things that were supposedly going on. They got rid of him. The company did get rid of him. I think there was some pressure. I don't remember exactly what year it was. But they got rid of him. And then it was maybe 6 weeks later. They rehired him. And they rehired him. And this is not this is something that was documented at the time. Phil Mushnick is someone who remembers the Mandoc. In that ridiculous video of the Piers Morgan show last week. Don't call me bro. Remember that went around on social media? Don't call me bro. Russo, but I think it was him who wrote about it. Or some writer at the time quoted Vince as saying, "Yeah, we brought him back, but with the understanding that he stay away from the league." So yeah, they brought him back and said basically, "You've got to stay away from the league." Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a great. This is what happened. Can you imagine something like that happening today?
We know you did something wrong and you were inappropriately touching minors, but please don't do that.
Yeah, promise me you won't do it again now. All right, you can go back to work. Just promise me you won't do it again.
I hope he I hope Vince suffers the worst fate, man. I don't give a shit, man. So stupid, so ridiculous. Moving on, we got WrestleMania news. Rock and WrestleMania will obviously be a thing this year, even though Dave Meltzer said no to that happening. But there is news on Fightful Select. Now, obviously, you guys know Rock appeared at Bad Blood, and he left many wondering what exactly the WrestleMania plans are because he left the 3 fingers in the air and did the throat slash. We don't know what that means. We haven't seen The Rock since. We are hoping that we get some sort of answer. Potentially, maybe it's Survivor Series. We'll see what happens. But Rock spoke on rumors that he wasn't going to be at WrestleMania 41 by saying, "Don't listen to that bullshit on Instagram." At least sources within WWE claim that the company is a priority for The Rock, and he's expected in the fold here and there in sporadic fashion, of course. Higher-ups that Fightful spoke to said The Rock has made it clear he's a part of the family and will appear when he is able. Sources at the Intuit Dome told Fightful that they were hopeful The Rock would be present for the first Raw on Netflix, and there's buzz internally for it, even though it's not confirmed. I think Jason and I are pretty confident he will be there on January 6th. In regards to rumors that The Rock said he wouldn't be working WrestleMania and asking around, none of our WWE sources knew where that came from. Those we spoke to said they had not heard either way of him appearing. Now, one WWE source told Fightful that it's hard to predict what The Rock is going to do 6 months out because he's going to do pretty well what he wants from a career and appearance perspective. Another WWE producer said that if The Rock decides shortly before a show that he wants to appear, he will. Several others said that as of right now, they've not been given messaging that The Rock won't appear at WrestleMania. As far as Bad Blood, we're told that this wasn't something that had a lot of heavy planning, but the possibility of him appearing became a reality in the weeks prior. This is what led up to the main event being Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes in the tag team match. A few days before the show, we're told that WWE got solid confirmation of The Rock. So clearly, The one underlying tone here in that report from Fightful is that The Rock is going to do what The Rock is going to do. And if it's that wishy-washy and that last minute and he wants to do it fucking 24 hours before the show, then Rock is going to say, you know what, hey, Paul, I'm coming in, we're making room for me, and that's the bottom line. So, Jason, according to Fightful's report, if that's the underlying tone here in the report, you can guarantee that that's going to be what's going to happen again this WrestleMania season, and we're going to be in for one hell of a ride again if we are going to start integrating Dwayne Johnson into the WrestleMania plans.
Yeah, well, I think this time it's safe to say that Cody is safe.
Yeah.
He'll be in the mix somehow, whether it's a one-on-one match or not, we don't know. But again, none of this to me is anything we didn't already know. You know, Rock is going to be involved in WrestleMania in some way. Probably will wrestle. It could be a case where maybe he doesn't wrestle, but he's in another role. I just find it hard to believe he's not going to wrestle. So he'll be a part of the build, and he'll be a part of the show in some way. And we still don't know exactly what that match would look like. You Rock and Roman, you Cody and Rock, looking at a triple threat. We still don't know. And honestly, it's not even November, so I wouldn't expect WWE to have that locked in. They probably have a sense of what they want to do and where they want to go. Until Rock lets them know, if he hasn't already, where his mind is at and what his schedule is going to be. I don't know that anything is locked in. Like he said, he could show up one day and everything could get blown up.
I have a feeling he'll show up the day of the Royal Rumble and tell Triple H, hey, you know what, man, I want to be in the Rumble, and I'm going to win. And
I'm going to be number 31.
Yeah, even though Triple H has already got his winner, he's got WrestleMania main event already played, I'm going to be in number 31. We're going to just change course.
Yeah, that'll be great. What underdog babyface were you planning on having win the Royal Rumble? So when they're at the very end and everybody thought they won, you hit my music, I come out at 31 and I dunk them out over the top rope. That'll get me.
Who's on the line sheet to win the Rumble? Phil Brooks? Now, brother, that's not going to work. We're gonna ruin his. We're gonna ruin his fun here again. In how many times did that happen? 2 or 3 times?
3. I think.
Ridiculous. Yeah, you gotta love Rocky, but listen, low key, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table because there's just a different energy, and he will certainly be on that Monday night. Everybody's gonna be on that Raw on Netflix.
Cody, it sounds like this weekend it's Cody though. Everybody from the old ECW is going to be on NXT next week based on all these reports. That
Jesus, Tony Khan's probably a stroke, man. He loves ECW.
Of course, he needs to go to the ECW arena with his father. Tony Khan may be at NXT in the crowd next week.
I wouldn't be
some
surprised.
Some kind of a disguise. I love like a mustache, like his dad does or something. No, I mean they're announcing all of these old ECW names. Dawn Marie, Francine just announced that she's going to be there. I believe I saw something that RVD is going to be there. He might have been on NXT tonight. So, yeah, they're really loading it up as far as ECW alumni. And we saw what happened at Halloween Havoc with Bully Ray. And not to say that Bully Ray showing up at the ECW arena does not make sense, or that it will not get a reaction. When I saw Bully on the NXT show Sunday night, I just laughed because I just thought to myself, somebody from WWE was watching Maple Leaf Run. And of all the people and all the matches on that show, they said, the guy who we need on our show, Bully Ray, what a match he had with Jinder Mahal. We're going to get that Bully Ray guy on our show. And then boom, there he is. He's on another show, and I'm sure he's going to be there next week. He'll probably be in a match.
I'm surprised. Well, the way that it left off, because I watched the show, I did not like the show. I saw the first 2 matches. I thought the North American title match and the women's tag was really good stuff. Outside of that, I don't know who actually Ethan Page in the main event. You guys might like Ethan Page. I just don't see where he fits into the main event scene, which we will definitely discuss when we talk about the ID program. But I thought that they were going to book Bully Ray and Trick versus Ridge and Ethan Page for the show.
They could do that. It could be a tag match, or it could be a singles match. A tag match would make more sense. I don't know if you can see Bully Ray in a singles match.
No.
I don't think that benefits anybody. I don't think that benefits Bully Ray. But this way, Bully is going to be over in the ECW movement, and so I think pairing him up with Trick would actually make a lot more sense. So yeah, I can see that. But they're going in hard on the ECW nostalgia. I'm looking forward to what the show looks like. When they were back in the same released a few weeks ago. I love the look and the vibe of that show in that venue. I don't know if they ran wrestling in that venue before, but I hope they do more in the future. So what is this, modern day ECW arena going to look like with the NXT setup? They probably get about 1,000 people, maybe a little less. I'm looking forward to finding out, and it's going to be interesting also because we'll have another leg of that next week. NXT and AEW. This time on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be on AEW night. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do as well. I've always been a fan of those themed shows, especially when it comes to that type of ECW vibe. But I'm looking at the NXT brand, and I just don't feel a sense of like they really care to carve out their own identity on some weeks. Some weeks they do, some weeks they don't. Like how does a show like next week play into any overall storyline progression? Like that's what I don't get. It's like we waited all night to watch Halloween Havoc, which I thought was an actual themed show on Tuesday nights. They turned it into a PLE. But how do we wait all night and then at the end of the show we get the payoff of Bully Ray and Rich Holland? Like if you're watching that and you were like us, you watched the old Black and Gold and then you watch this current NXT, I know we should stop comparing because they're not one of the same. But it's like where did the PLE aspect for these NXT shows go? It's like that's it. That's what people don't praise you over. I'm like, this is very mid.
Again, I know you're a big fan of the Black and Gold, and I enjoyed it. We have to stop making it because the Black and Gold is dead and buried. It's not coming back. And if we just sit around and continue to make these comparisons, then nothing will ever please those who are looking for something along the lines of what the Black and Gold is. They obviously felt, okay, we have to move away from that and go in a different direction, and we're going to go that way. We're not going to look for roots. We're not going to get that back. I'm not disagreeing with you as far as what they gave us on Sunday, but I think where it will, and we see them do a lot of this. We see them doing a lot of this every week. Where this can be a benefit, they're going to run this venue, and so they're going to factor in all the nostalgia. They're going to try to draw the audience up as much as possible because they're not in their usual night. That's part of the play. They're on an off night, so the audience is going to take a hit no matter what. But they want to do everything in their and use these guys to give the rub to the NXT stars. I don't have an issue. So if they're going to do a tag match, or if there's going to be a segment, RVD's not going to wrestle. It's going to be in a segment. He's going to put over somebody, one of the men on the roster. That's how you can utilize these guys in a positive way. To try to give some kind of rub to the younger NXT stars. Then like Javon Evans, Tony D, people like that, then I have no issue. So I don't really see it as being a big deal. I would see them use main roster talent in that way. That's why Jay showed up at that show in a few weeks ago. He didn't do anything. He just showed up, but it was to get that visual of him in the ring with Trick.
Yeah.
Right? I think Lash and Mark Jackson were in there. James Bianca. So I think is the way to go for you to bring these guys. It can't just be they come in, they cut a promo, they knock out one of the heel talents and get themselves over, and that's it. It's got to be more than that. I'm sure that's what they got lined up.
Is there another couple of shots of whiskey in that WWE cocktail, knowing that they're going head-to-head with AEW? That's where they're loading up the show next week?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's part of the play here. I mean, they're on an off night, and of course they want to kick AEW's ass. They don't want to. I mean, they kicked their ass that Tuesday, the last time they went head-to-head. And AEW was in an off night. They were not even in their usual time slot. They only overlapped for about an hour. So you put a little start into it. Now, NXT's going to their night. Do you think that AEW is going to knock forward them next Wednesday? I mean, I'm not saying that there's no chance that Dynamite might not bring in a larger audience. I think it's a very low chance. But I think there's also a much better chance that NXT is going to move in on their terms and probably outperform them. And there's always that competitive nature. But then Tony Khan too. You don't think he has a competitive edge and wants to beat them that night? Of course, he wears for it's a matter of pride. So you get both companies to load up those shows in the end thing.
Get ready for Tomohiro Ishii next week. My prediction, my bold prediction next week, ladies and gentlemen, 550,000 for AEW next week against NXT.
All right, I mean that's not the far off from what I was thinking. I would go even lower.
Really?
You said 550?
550.
Okay, I think it'll be closer to like just under 500. 500.
Uh-oh. We start calling us grifters.
They can call us whatever the fuck they want. It doesn't faze me. You'll be calling me right.
These two guys are too dead and they're haters.
How it is. People don't like that.
Going back to Cody actually was speaking with Vegas Revealed in regards to WrestleMania. This ties in with the Rock story. Promoting the event, Rhodes was asked about the rumors going around for the WrestleMania main event. He actually said this, and I quote, "There are so many rumors circulating, it eats up the social feed. All the different rumors for what the matches might be. The hardest thing to do in WWE and sports entertainment and pro wrestling in general is to not to win the WWE title. The hardest thing to do is main event WrestleMania. I don't care what the rumor is, as long as the rumor is I'm in the main event of the show. I'm good with it. What I can say for those who keep an eye on the rumor, I bet you what they get at WrestleMania 41 is unexpected even to them. Even the people who follow this, the diehards who feel like they have their finger on the pulse, this one is going to be tough. This one is going to be unexpected. That's the best way to put it, but in the best of ways. Unquote. You know, we've actually got into offhand discussions here about WrestleMania and the main event. It could be Roman Rock, it could be Roman, Rock, and Cody. It could be Cody and Rock. Who knows, man? The unexpected thing may actually end up being the fact that they go with Randy and Cody at WrestleMania, which, I mean, I don't think anybody is going to complain about that if that's the direction. Then we get Rock and Roman. Seeing how they fast track, and we both feel that the tie-in here to Survivor Series, how we got to War Games, is a little rushed. I won't be surprised if they actually go through Rock and Roman next year, and we get Cody and Randy at WrestleMania next year, and that would be fucking one of the greatest double main events that WWE's probably ever done. So if that's the case, man, I'm all for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, Cody and Randy is something that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time, myself included. And I think, I don't think, I know we're going to get it. It's just a matter of when. And I think, again, Rock's status potentially being up in the air right now, as far as specifically who they'll be working with, is the only thing that really kind of boards over the whole thing. But I'm sure, Triple H has already got the idea in his mind about where this Owens, Cody, Randy thing is going to go. Cody and Randy is going to come. I don't know if it'll be WrestleMania. To me, that's an easy WrestleMania match. It doesn't have to be there, but it should be. But if they have the chance to do Rock and Cody, if you're WWE, which match are you going with? You're going with Rock and Cody, because that's the bigger one.
Cody,
Don't forget, Cody won both main events last year. You can work Randy won that Rock.
I mean, if Cody was given the option to do that, I'm sure he would say with a resounding yell, yes.
He would go, whoa.
Yeah,
He would go, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not his deal. That's his deal. That's more like it, not the other one. But he also did mention this, and I want your opinion on this. I kind of know where you're probably going to go with this one, but he did talk about his brother. And he was quoted saying, "Goldust is an underrated part of the Attitude Era, worthy of a Hall of Fame induction." He said about his brother, "I think I was 14 years old when Goldust was really hitting his stride on WWE television. And I can certainly say that it was a unique thing to see. My friends had a lot of feelings about what Goldust was doing. However, knowing how much he had subverted expectations, knowing how much he didn't want to be just a Rhodes, he wanted his own thing. And what he did in the links he went to do it, or the links rather, to do it. I was very proud of Dustin throughout the whole run, what he did and the lengths he went to do it. Goldust was an underrated part of the Attitude Era, something that definitely is worthy of a Hall of Fame induction." I mean, that goes without saying, Jason. I think Goldust, the character, Dustin playing Goldust, is an absolute Hall of Fame induction. When I first saw Goldust, I didn't know what to think because I was such a young kid. It was just very off-putting to me, but obviously the older I got, going back and watching what I didn't understand as a young child, I grew to appreciate his work and what he did, the flamboyance, the body language, the moveset that he had, the feuds that he had with, obviously the one that sticks out in my mind with the Razor, Scott Hall, and obviously the Hall of Fame induction. I love Goldust, and I think he's absolutely an underrated part of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I mean, Goldust is one of the more well-known parts of the Attitude Era, and even pre-Attitude. When he debuted, it wasn't the Attitude Era. So his run as Goldust actually predates that. But first time I saw Dustin Rhodes, he was still the natural. He was Dustin Rhodes, and then even when he joined WWF the first time, he was tagging with his dad. So I knew him even before the Goldust days, and then Goldust was quite the shock. And Goldust went through a few different transformations. It wasn't just the initial character. You remember the Attitude Era? He ended up putting into Shawn. There was some freaky stuff going on there with the two of them. Then he came back. He had another run as Goldust. Then years later is when he came back again as Goldust, had that tag team run with his brother. So you can find lots of different kind of eras with Goldust over the years. You said that he would go out there and move sets and how impressive he was. Think about him now. How old is he now? He's going out there doing destroyers. He's still wrestling.
Mid 50s.
Yeah, mid to late 50s. So it's even more impressive to see him still being able to go out there and do what he does. So yeah, I mean, Dustin Rhodes, either as himself or as Goldust, both easy Hall of Fame. I don't think anybody would doubt that or dispute that for a second. And he will be at one day.
Speaking of Hall of Fame, a lot of people made a big stink about AJ Styles hopefully getting into the TNA Hall of Fame.
But before you get into that, on the subject of the Hall of Fame, there's one other thing that gives me hope. Gives me hope. Put a smile on my face when I read this. There was a news item. Demolition was doing a signing, a virtual signing. And they mentioned the fact that they were invited last year, before last year's WrestleMania, to come out to be a part of the festivities, to be a part, not to be in the Hall of Fame, but kind of to attend the Hall of Fame, to attend WrestleMania, which is an invitation that had not been extended to them. They said, probably had to do with Vince being gone, Triple H being in, and they would have loved to have gone, but they had already made a commitment, I think, with another promoter. They had been paid, and they didn't want to break the commitment, so they didn't go. But their hope is that it's a good sign for the future that maybe relations have thawed between the two sides. So that gave me hope that maybe they will end up and take their rightful place in the Hall of Fame before it's too late. So the two of them can actually be inducted and give a speech up the road. I don't know if it'll be next year. If it were up to me, I'd put them in next year. I wouldn't wait any longer. But that gives me hope that we may end up getting that Demolition Hall of Fame induction. Because when I was growing up, they were my favorite tag team. For me, it was them and it was the Hardcore Band. So Hall of Fame induction for them would be long overdue. And it looks like probably now more than ever, there's a good chance of it happening.
Well, it was such a feel-good moment this year when Triple H called U.S. Express up, and it was like a Zoom call, and we were sitting down, and Triple H called them to let them know that they were in the Hall of Fame this year. I could see him doing that same thing with Demolition. I'd love to do that too. I would love to see that too, because they were a big part of my childhood as well. And the visual of them has remained with me now, going into me being 42 years old. It's like, I go back and watch the old shit, I'm like, man, that fucking shit still hits now even at this age. So yeah, I hope that's the case as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, and too bad also, they didn't just play Axe and Smash. Both men played multiple characters in their careers as singles. Billy Dean and Gary Garcia. In and out of the WWE. So, yeah, it would be a well-deserved Hall of Fame induction. Hopefully we get it. I'm hoping next year, but hopefully it'll happen this summer.
We could get the leap on that.
What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine too.
Yes.
My favorite player. Love it. Remember Hole in One Darcy from WCW?
Yes, I do.
Not one of his better gimmicks, but he had more serious gimmicks in the 80s, before the silly stuff in the 90s. I mean, part of a lot of people's, I'm sure, wrestling memories from their childhood.
So AJ Styles was in the news this week about possibly being inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, and obviously he had a strong run there, more than strong run. He made his name there. He went to New Japan. He had a great career in WWE. Some fans obviously remember him still to this day for what he did with TNA. And Styles left TNA in 2014 before going to Ring of Honor and then later New Japan. He made his debut in 2016 on the main roster. And on Saturday, TNA had Bound for Glory, which we will discuss the main event here because I want to get Jason's opinion from you guys here in the chat. On Saturday, TNA held its Hall of Fame inducting Bob Ryder and Rhino. Now, there were other considerations as Fightful Select reports AJ Styles and Monty Brown were both considered. The door isn't closed on those possibilities, as it was noted that the possibility of Styles was broached by WWE, which passed on the opportunity. The report noted that we weren't told specifically why, but people in TNA believe it's due to AJ's injury or active storyline. It was said that Styles might be open to wrestling, but it's unclear whether that was ever discussed, wrestling for TNA. So there was an update on this today, and due to obviously, which I'm assuming is fan backlash, because there were people asking why, and I'm sure the TNA fan base wanted to know why. AJ put out a statement today on why he want to go into the Hall of Fame. He says, "I'm still an active wrestler. I hope. I made the decision not to go into the TNA Hall of Fame. I appreciate TNA. I don't want to go into any Hall of Fame as long as I'm still an active pro wrestler. My choice." Leave it at that. That's all the explanation that you need. I know this isn't really much of a story, Jason, obviously, with AJ. Hopefully he gets better, because I do think he's still a very big part of WWE TV when he's a part of something big. And I did enjoy his work with Cody. I was enjoying him back on television. I'm sad to see that he got hurt, and it was legitimate. But as far as Bound for Glory, I know I tuned in just to see Joe Hendry, because obviously you and I are in the same boat. Like, I thought that he was going to win that six-way at Slammiversary. He did not. And everybody's like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll win it at their biggest show. He'll win it at their flagship show in October." And then we get to October, and then all of a sudden I see JBL on my fucking television, and then it's the most overbooked carny garbage that I could possibly ever watch. It's like, why did I waste my time watching this when this guy should have obviously been crowned champion 3 fucking months ago? And now to me, the boat is missed. I don't even know if they want to do it in 2025, and it's even going to have the same impact, no pun intended, as it would have had this past weekend. What do you make of that ridiculous ending, and why they didn't crown Joe Hendry the champion?
I think he's a classic case of, there were times where you strike from the iron top. And right now, he is still their honest baby face who crashed in the company. And people were expecting it. A lot of people, I think, were expecting it to fly, and they didn't get it. And that was it was a six-way. You're like, all right, didn't get a one-on-one match for it. And so Bound for Glory, their big, control show of the year comes, and they have him booked. And as soon as I realized that it wasn't the main event, I figured something might be up here. Why wouldn't you close out the show? And then I'm watching this, and like you said, there's Frankie Kazarian's in there as the heel referee because they got a story going for him. Okay. Then JBL show, and he's been playing this like last outlaw character. He's been popping up everywhere, right?
Making another Jeff
Doing
Jarrett.
something. He's doing AAA. He's doing something with AAA. He's in GCW. He's making an appearance there. And then TNA as well. So there he is. And he's clotheslining everybody. He's clotheslining Frankie Kazarian. He's clotheslining Joe Hendry. He's clotheslining Brian Nemeth. Something going on with him and Nick because he didn't put his hands on Nick Nemeth. And all the other times he's been around Nick Nemeth, he hasn't put his hands on him. And then they tease that Hendry is going to lose to Nemeth's finish, and he kicks out. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Another little false finish there. But they wrestle another like 90 seconds, and then he hits his finish again, and he wins it. And they have this overhead shot. This is like the TNA shot. They have this overhead camera shot, and all you see is Joe Hendry's body. It's like he's making snow angels. Like his body is just outstretched, like a dead body. You want to draw the chalk outline around it. He's laying in the ring on the TNA logo, and it's just like, okay, this is one of those classic TNA moments that we used to see more of with those overbooked Jeff Jarrett main events. And that's what it felt like. That's what it really felt like. Maybe they're going to crown him in their January show, which I think is hard to kill. Maybe they're not going to crown him at all. Maybe they have a sense that we don't, that maybe he's not long for the company. All the reports have come out, and I haven't seen anything to the contrary. Seem to indicate that he's still going to be under contract with them for as much as another year or more. Not a case where we've heard something about Corky Race where we're dealing something beginning of next year, January, February. I haven't heard anything about that with Joe Hendry. So all these people assuming that means he's about to leave and go to WWE. I would be surprised if we don't see him in the Royal Rumble. That does not mean that he's going to WWE. So I think he's still going to be with TNA. There's still time to put the belt on him. Will he still be as over? Are the fans going to react to it the same way that they would have? last weekend. I don't know. I hope for his sake because he's genuinely nice guy. And anybody who's met him at an appearance or signing, and I had a chance to meet him briefly when he was running for House of Glory. Nice guy, and always
Very humble.
pictures. Yeah, very humble. Again, he's had an incredible year, and so hasn't let it go to his head or anything like that. Very down to earth. And I always like seeing good things happen to good people, and him getting himself over that way, I think, is one of the feel-good wrestling stories of the year, honestly. So I look at him and I think, I just hope that they don't wait too long and they miss the boat on what for him would be a really special day. And I don't know what his future is going to be or when he may be a free man or anything like that, but it just left a sour taste in my mouth. And I'm sure it left a sour taste in a lot of other people's mouths too. Which is not what you want to do. Frankly, even if he was leaving in the next few months, I still would have done it. I still would have gotten that moment because people are like, yeah, but what if he's going to leave in 2 months? Who cares?
Well, that was my next question to you. It's like, did they refrain from putting the championship on him because they have a feeling he is going to jump ship? But like you said, if they put the title on him, who's to say that they don't have another top-level heel there that could get some massive heat by beating the over babyface and Joe Hendry?
Now, well, I would say that. Like, there's really no argument. If that's your only argument, well, yeah, I would have done the same thing, but he might be gone in 2 months or 3 months. That's not an excuse. You can put the belt on him. You can get that moment. And even if you take it away from him a week later, or the very next show the next month, you find a heel in that company that can beat him for it. And like you said, you try to put as much heat on that person as possible. You can still work it to your advantage, but still give people that moment that they've been clamoring for. And they didn't do it. And I really hope they didn't miss the boat. They don't wait too long on it. They're still going to put the belt on him, but I just thought it was a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know how fans are going to feel about it. I think it's going to be severely less than after the last 2 opportunities. But listen, if they need anybody for top consideration for a world championship in 2025, I know Jason and I have plugged more matches than a lot of people for this specific individual. I think it's Mike Santana's time in TNA. He's obviously our world champion in House of Glory. He's coming up on 1 full calendar year as world champion for House of Glory. He's had some of the best matches on the independent circuit this year. I mean, the match with Red still resonates with both me and Jason because we were fucking losing our minds on commentary. It was ridiculous. Mike Santana should obviously be in consideration for the TNA World Championship. I don't know when or where, but there's no doubt in my mind to the guy. I mean, he's worked too hard, and he looks fucking incredible not to be considered for that spot. In TNA, it doesn't really give me much hope if they failed on this with Joe Hendry. It's like, please don't do that to Mike Santana because there's one guy that's busting his ass to get back and show everyone he can do it, because of what he did in AEW. He was a tag team in LAX. They dropped the ball in LAX. Now he's back on his own, kicking bigger ass than ever before. It's him.
Yeah, I think he's going to get his moment in 2025. I don't know if it'll be the latter part of the year, the early part of the year, but it just feels like they're building him up to that point. I would be very surprised if he doesn't end up with that championship at some point. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, like we know, everybody works hard, but like he worked hard to come back from that injury. He came back from that ACL injury a different person. More driven and motivated. He transformed his body. And I think there were a lot of people doubting whether or not he could hack it on his own as a single star because he was part of the tag team for so long. But I think he was silenced a lot of the people.
We look forward to that. We love Mike Santana, and we've got a couple of. Anthony's actually got one more show this year for us, and then that's going to be in December for House of Glory. We've got the Hardys coming in, so we'll keep you guys posted on that for sure about who he's wrestling on that show. Obviously, defending the ATV World Championship. Saturday night's main event. Another event I'm looking forward to in December. That's happening on December 14th, 8 p.m. at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. And obviously, you guys know how special Saturday night's main event is from WWE. They have 2 matches planned, they meaning WWE, for this show. Now, in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer, take it with a grain of salt, Dave Meltzer reports that Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens and Gunther versus Damian Priest, both championship matches, are planned for the show. But Dave says we were told both are currently slated but not etched in stone. Now, obviously, we'll get into the crown jewel predictions a little bit later on in the show. But that, just reading that, would mean to me, if we do get Kevin Owens and Randy Orton on Saturday, which apparently was made official by Triple H on Friday, Kevin Owens might play a role in the Cody Rhodes and Gunther match for the Crown Jewel Championship on Saturday afternoon.
But I'm betting on. I'm not going to go into the prediction now, but yes, I think there's a very good chance of that.
Yeah, we'll save that for the end of the show. I think a lot of people aren't really into the Crown Jewel build. I think coming out of Raw, I felt a little bit bored going into last night's stream. I just felt like outside the Uso stuff, there really wasn't much to talk about. But as far as the rest of the show, we'll definitely go over that at the end of tonight's TNT. But moving on here, we have WWE music. I know everybody loves Def Rebel, and everybody was just over the moon about the great banger songs that they keep producing week in and week out.
Role model.
Yeah, role model. What was the one that I heard this week? Oh, I heard something on television. No,
Newer song?
I don't know. It was from somebody. I don't know. If it was, I was laughing at role model, but I don't know. It's just I hear that shit. DIY has a new metal theme. You hear that one? It might have been that one. It's just like you just continuing to make it work. Just stop, please. But I'm glad War Raiders got their theme music back. They got their CFO's theme music back, which is great. I just hope that the crowd gets involved and starts chanting war along with the theme that used to happen in NXT. But Def Rebel will no longer.
Well, you know what? Being that they're on the Raw roster, find a way to tie in the whole Raw sports like adapted to them.
Oh well, way back. I didn't mention. It's war,
Yeah.
Raw is war.
Yeah, no, I think they should lean into that.
I like that. Those are the days. Def Rebel, though, you guys know that they have a contract coming up at the end of the year, and this is coming from Fightful Select. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful was told that they will be out, and apparently a lot of people have mentioned Jim Johnston. They want him back. Sapp was told that this wasn't specifically for a composer role, that they have an opening now for the music portion of their company. But Jim Johnston held that job would also communicate with UFC, PBR, and other TKO properties. And speaking to several WWE talents who are currently using Def Rebel themes, Corey Brennan of Fightful was met with frustration across the board with Def Rebel's methods and themes that they have produced, fans and performers alike, with several talents expressing negativity about their current theme music. When Sapp spoke with talent, many were never told outright why their theme music changed from the CFO's era, even though they asked. The talent that we've heard back from said that they haven't had direct contact or met Def Rebel. That's got to be ridiculously frustrating to not even meet the fucking people. How are you going to not meet the people writing your theme music? You don't even get a feel for the talent. Like, how the fuck do you know who you're writing for?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't know that Jim Johnston met with all the talent people. I mean, he had a process for what he would do when it came to the music. And he's talked about this before. You could just see video of a wrestler, and he would watch their entrance. So he wanted to see, the way they walked and what they were wearing. And he could get a real sense in his mind of the kind of music, and then like a beat or a tune would just come to him. So I don't even think with him it was necessarily a case where, he would have a phone call or an in-person meeting with all the talent. So yes, it would make sense that way you can get familiar with them. But you gotta remember something. The roster, when Jim Johnston was doing and composing the themes for WWE, the roster was very different than it is today. The roster is exponentially larger than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. There's so many more talents that they call up. And they're doing music for the main roster and NXT. So I don't even know that it's necessarily practical, especially with people on the road, to compete with everybody. That doesn't bother me so much. But it is very interesting the process that Johnston would have, and I'm not sure about Def Rebel and the kind of process they have. But I do wonder, and I absolutely believe this is part of the problem. There is so much talent, and they are tasked with composing and producing so much music. I listen to their music, and there's some bangers in there. I don't want people to think like they've never had a good song. They CFOs had some bangers, right? They had Knock Warriors music. And, I mean, there was a period with the Black and Gold there. Like some of that music up great. And they were responsible for a lot of that stuff. Big Valor, I think, was another one. Alistair Black.
Baron Corbin's old team.
Baron Corbin. Alistair Black also, right? But I think
His was Code Orange.
but Kodar sang it, but it may have been whoever was responsible. But with Def Rebel, they're producing so much music. There's a sameness. And I just find so many of these songs are completely indistinguishable from one to the other. They're just the sameness. There's no creativity, there's no uniqueness to it. It's kind of soulless in many ways.
Well, that's why a lot of people say it's AI generated. I could believe it.
Maybe it is, because again, they're producing so much of it that I could see that being something they might rely on. But the example I used when I talked about this on the show was I was at the Royal Rumble this year in Tampa, and it was especially noticeable in the women's Royal Rumble match, where we would be sitting there and we'd be counting, and then they would hit someone's music, and if I wasn't looking up at the screen to see the name of the person, I wouldn't know who the fuck was coming up. And I wasn't the only one. There were people like, wait, who is that? Right? And then you would see, oh, okay. It's like, who the fuck is that?
Candace LeRae is out. Who is that? I can't see.
Well, I know her music, but there were a lot of other women, especially if it was somebody maybe like making a cameo from NXT. It's like, I have no idea who this person is. Just by listening to the music, and it never used to be that way. You would hear the first opening chords of the song, and you would know exactly who it was. So it just doesn't have any identity. That's a very big problem. And I think everybody clamoring for the days of Jim Johnston. Jim Johnston is not coming back. Okay, Jim Johnston, I don't know what politics were involved in that. He did not quit. He was not an amicable split. He was fired. He was pushed out. And clearly they don't want him. They don't want to have anything to do with him. I don't know why, but they don't. And he's also now, I don't know, he's in the 70s. Who even knows?
Yeah. I think he's like 77. He's not like
Yes.
late 70s for sure.
So there's this notion that maybe, let's just bring him back. It's just not practical. And frankly, I don't think that's the thing that they need to be doing. I don't think you need to have one person or one group in charge of all the music. I think that's the wrong way to go. I think especially with the number of talents they have, it would be good for them to have multiple parts instead of just one group or one individual handling all of the music. And that way you get a different perspective on different themes. You get a little bit of variety there, they work together. I think personally that would be the way to go. If it was me. But people pining for the old days, they should bring back Jim Johnston. You gotta give up on that, okay? It's not happening. Clearly, if they wanted him back, they would have brought him back. They don't want to bring him back. Although he's another one. He's very deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Well, absolutely. I think people are clamoring for Jim Johnston back because of what Jason just said. Like, it's difficult to watch and not speak to the talent outright, face to face, have a phone call with them, get their vibe, understanding the character, who they are, and what they're about. You would watch a vignette or a promo or entrance and see them without even saying anything to them, and just like, all right, I'm going to go and produce this music, I'm going to compose this music, and I'm going to have this ready for him next time he's on TV. That's a talented human being. That's like someone picking up a guitar without looking at any musical notes or tabs or anything on whatever. Master of Puppets by Metallica, which is not an easy song to learn if you're a beginner guitar player. Pick it up and just start strumming along and play along to the actual song. It's difficult to do, but people do that. My brother does that. So I've always been in awe of him doing that because he's a natural musician. So I would love if they get someone like that, but that's why people are clamoring for Jim Johnston, because when you're in tune with the music like he was, they want that to resonate on television. And we don't have that right now. So I don't know where they're going to get that from, but there's talk here about maybe licensing music, maybe getting a couple of artists that work specifically for WWE, actual core musicians to write the music. They mentioned Judgment Day here. One talent joked to Seth that at one point all the members of Judgment Day, Damage Control, Seth Rollins, had a very similar intro to the theme over a several-year period. Although those were from Def Rebel in the latter two cases and Alter Bridge in the former. So for a period of a few years, any one of a dozen people could have been coming out, the talent said, joking about the similarities. Now, sources that spoke to SAP had not heard of any imminent plan to utilize more licensed music as theme songs, as had been speculated. But there were a few wrestlers who inquired about those rumors and were told that the long-term clearance issues were the case. Licensed music is still expected to be featured as WWE works to integrate more artists into their shows and PLEs. In another note about the Death Rebel theme music, Brennan also learned that upon his return to WWE after Survivor Series last year, the theme music change that Fight for Select previously recorded was indeed a Death Rebel remix of Orton's iconic Voices theme, with multiple different remixes being pitched to Orton since. Orton rejected all of them.
You said, fuck no. You don't dig my music. Get the fuck out of here.
He rejected all of them. Contrary to popular belief, Sapp was told that not every talent was approached or mandated for a theme adjustment from regime to regime. There are still some talent that use their Jim Johnston themes and haven't been approached for new ones across multiple regimes. This goes the same with Bianca Belair and some that still use their CFO Money theme. So I don't know why that wasn't the case. I mean, if you had a great theme, I don't know why WWE just now outright buy the license or the rights to that theme music because it fucking fit. Death Rebel had been responsible for the production of WWE theme music for years. Sapp was also told that there was a significant publishing issue between the members of CFOs and WWE, and they even tried to buy them out of their deal 5 years ago, but the publisher rejected. WWE was hoping to bring them in-house, but talks got to a standstill and then eventually ran out, and the duo had a non-compete with their publisher and then disbanded. CFO's publisher Arcade Songs owner Greg Wattenberg had helped establish connections from WWE with 12 Stones, Drowning Pool, Finger 11, and Alter Bridge. CFOs would often take direct input from talent when working on their themes. There you go, no wonder the themes were such banger themes. But also had a library of themes produced to use. This isn't confirmed, but the word in the industry was that WWE owned the publishing rights of Jim Johnston and Death Rebel's themes, but only 50% of CFO's themes. The group is no longer allowed to use the name, and we're told at least one of them left music altogether. For those asking about a Jim Johnston run-in, we've been told repeatedly over the years that it's unlikely that he's in his 70s. We've not heard of his current relationship with the company, but those we've spoken to said that they wouldn't be surprised to see a bridge being built to acknowledgement under the new regime. The internal feeling is the frustrations around Death Rebel and the company's hiring someone to streamline a lot of music-related communications. CFOs had a financial falling out with WWE and their publisher and are no longer together, with one leaving music altogether. Johnston is not expected back in WWE. Listen, I mean, there's a lot to digest here. As long as there's steps to take here and obviously address the huge gap and the huge problem that is WWE production, because that's the one thing I would say out of all the production enhancements that they've made, that still is just, it is unbearable to listen to, man.
There's no excuse for it. And as hot as the product is right now, and obviously presentation is king with WWE. You look at these PLEs, and everything is just so grandiose now and everything, and you would think it would take more care into the music. You're not going to. Music is such an important part of the presentation for wrestling. I mean, it can make or break the wrestling. And there are some iconic themes that have stood the test of time, some of the biggest names in the history of that company. So you really have to, I think, just take better care when it comes to that sort of thing. When I hear Sheamus come out, it's painful. I mean, it really is. It's painful to hear him come out now.
And that's not even the worst of the theme song.
It's not, but it's one of the more egregious examples because with him, there were people for years, oh, bring back the old theme, right? And then he did. And everybody was singing along, you know, lobster head, and everybody was having fun with it, right? Too many lines. And everybody was having fun. And literally, like 3 weeks later, they took it away. And they have given him the most generic Irish-sounding music. It's like literally they were coming through a catalog, and it was like Irish music number 7, and they just picked it. And that's what he comes out to now. Because even his, post the first name, the second one, he had Hellfire. It was a pretty banger theme. I like that one too. When he was standing in the aisle, they would spotlight on him, he looked Milky White, and then he would have that great rugby. So they took that away from him, and they've given him something more generic than anything he's ever come out to with his career. From AJ Styles, they changed his music. You mentioned Johnny Gargano. I mean, there's just so many different examples of this, and I just hope that this is this is an acknowledgement, like you said, that okay, we hear you, we hear the feedback, and we're taking steps to hopefully to try to remedy this. But I really do think it's going to take more than just one group. It's going to take more than just one driving force. Unless they're just going to start licensing music, which is a very costly endeavor. I don't know that they want to be spending money on licensed music for everybody. I appreciate what Tony Khan does when it comes to licensing. You could argue whether or not it's a great use of resources sometimes, but I love it when Brian Danielson comes out and
I mean, fucking Adam Coulter came out to goddamn Slayer when he wrestled
Sting.
fucking Malachi.
yeah, Sting.
Came out to Metallica. Yes, he can train.
So I love that stuff, and I wish the WWE would do that sometimes. They don't have to do it all, but it just makes it more fun. I think for the presentation of the fans. But as long as they take steps to correct this, because it has been one of the more glaring issues, even as like creativeness improved from where it was 5 years ago, a lot has gotten better, and a lot has improved. Music situation is actually done, and they need to do something about it.
Yeah, man. I agree with you 100%. Hopefully it gets fixed. But listen, man, not everybody can have a great Judgment Day theme song. You know? And a great
Well, you're an ultimate part, so I expect that.
Moving on. Listen, I got some Judgment Day news here. This is actually very interesting. It's something that I could see definitely playing out. Because God only knows that this feud could use it. But WWE rarely does intergender matches, and I don't think that they would even entertain the idea, but with these two, it certainly could make sense. Obviously, Liv Morgan has been in the program with Rhea Ripley, and that's been happening for most of this year. At the start of their program, Ripley was injured, vacated the women's world title. Liv Morgan went over Becky Lynch. Obviously, you guys know the story there. At SummerSlam, Morgan went over Ripley in their grudge match with the help of Dominic Mysterio, who turned on Rhea Ripley. At Bash in Berlin, Morgan and Mysterio put over Ripley and Damian Priest in the mixed tag team match. Along the way, Mysterio has been in the middle of this feud with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. But on a recent edition of Backstage Pass, WrestleVotes said that there's actually talk of doing Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley in a one-on-one match. He says, I know it's been brought up. Unfortunately, I don't know how high it's made it up the ladder, but there's a real desire on some level of creative to do this match before the angle fizzles out. Yes, it was added. I don't know how far down the table it went from a lower end. Yes, there's an anticipation of getting something out of this. Rhea has openly expressed the interest in the idea in this match with Dominic. Something WWE teased when Mysterio put hands on Rhea Ripley on a recent episode of Monday. Jason, I know Vince probably would have never in 1,000 lifetimes gone for something like this, but is Triple H and the new administration maybe possibly leaning towards doing an intergender match on WWE TV where it was probably forbidden to do so?
I mean, I think that it would make sense if you were going to do one. That's the match to do. It's a match I picked the idea of doing this match a few months ago. And people were like, "Oh, they're never going to do it." And I said, "Yeah, probably not, but like, they could definitely make it work." They still, I think, are in a position where it's just hard for me to imagine doing a full-blown singles match. I hope it happens. I think it could actually be very entertaining if they work it the right way. And I think the story is there for it. It almost feels like Rhea feuding with Liv right now is more of the backdrop of Rhea and Dom. Right? And every time she goes after him and tries to get him riptide, everybody gets, all excited, and then Judgment Day saves him. So it almost feels like they are building to a match that may not even happen. I look at that, and I'll be honest with you, I think that could be a WrestleMania. I think that with the history between these two characters, as long as they were together now they're feuding with each other, to get Rhea and Liv out of the way now, I don't think, and you can't drag that out into WrestleMania. No. You're not going to be able to get enough mileage out of it to get this all the way to the end of April. I think that would be ridiculous. But if they wanted to, I'm not saying that it's going to happen at WrestleMania. I'm just saying that I could see that as a WrestleMania match because it would be an attraction. And what's WrestleMania all about, right? It's about attraction. Rhea against Dom at WrestleMania in Las Vegas would be an attraction, and I think we'd get a lot of and maybe some of it negative, but it will get a lot of attention and a lot of eyeballs, I think. Not ideal if she's the women's champion because she should be defending the title on that show. Maybe they don't do it in Mania, maybe they do it on the show before. It feels like maybe now is the time that we are close to seeing it happen. I'm still skeptical. You know, they've made it very clear that they're not interested in doing man-on-one women bondage. Rhea puts her hands on guys all the time. They don't get that. You know, they're still very careful when it comes to that. And you can't do a full-blown match without her taking some bumps, without him throwing hands. I'm skeptical, but if I'm WWE, I find a way to do
I think
that.
I think the
I
last
just think
time
it would be a big attraction.
it was, I think the last time we got any sort of intergender nonsense on WWE TV, it might be dating back to Sasha and Reggie. Remember that when Reggie was in the ring with Sasha? He was doing
Yeah.
flips and dives, and he didn't lay one hand on her. Though. It was just
No.
doing moonsaults and back